Now, Nigerians from all walks of life have been taking diverse positions on the recently signed student loans bill by President Bola Tinubu. The Joint Action Front, a civil society organization, yesterday here in Lagos addressed media representatives on this particular issue, which it described as a fraudulent scheme which can only leave Nigerians holding the short end of the stick again. Femi Falana, senior advocate of Nigeria and prominent human rights activist, addressed this subject matter also and a number of other issues.
We can no longer rely on the trade unions to address the problems confronting the Nigerian people. Secondly, it is also important for us in mobilizing our people to be armed with sufficient information. One of which is this thing about 114% proposed salary increase. And let me say here, no public officer in Nigeria today relies on approved salaries. They have found their way out of the salary structure, starting with the National Assembly. What is recommended by the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission for a senator is about 1 million naira per month. On their own, they have awarded themselves 15 million naira per month. House of Reps, 13 million naira per month. So if they are talking of 114% of that, they may be talking of over 30 million naira per senator.
That was Femi Falana, senior advocate of Nigeria, where some of the issues addressed at that civil society gathering are at the center of the ongoing crave to leave the country in droves, especially by young people in search of greener pasture. But some will say if Nigeria is made to work well, brain drain could indeed translate into multiple gains for the country. Apart from diaspora remittances, value-added Nigerians may also be willing to plow back their acquired expertise for the overall development of the country. Well, we have joining us now someone whose journey seems to be a manifest vindication of that scenario. Professor Jacob Kehinde Olupona is a Nigerian-American professor of African religious traditions at Harvard Divinity School, with a joint appointment as professor of African and African-American Studies in the Faculty of Arts and Sciences at Harvard University. He's also here to tell us about preparations for the 7th Annual IFE Summer Institute. Professor J.K. Olupona, quite a privilege to have you on this program at This Day Live.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's start with this brain drain problem. I mean, you trained at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and then in the 90s, you taught at the University of Ife, as it then was. It became later Obafemi Awolowo University. You went abroad, you came back, and then at the end of the day, you took the JAPA option. But I see that you are also coming back home and all that. Let's talk about this brain drain phenomenon, because it looks like when countries don't get it right, they provide their best persons for other countries. You and others are the superstars in Harvard from Nigeria. You could well have remained in Ife. So why did you leave? Why are you reconnecting with your roots?
Thank you very much, Dr. Abati. It's nice to be here. First of all, I like to say that I recognize how difficult this subject is. And I will start with the conversation I had at Harvard in 2006 when I joined the faculty after I'd worked at University of California, Davis, for 17 years. I came in and I was asked to chair the Committee on African Studies. That's before we became a center. And a number of faculty asked me, and I think the administration too, that there are quite a number of Nigerians that are coming, particularly coming to do public health. And they were a little bit worried about this issue. Brilliant doctors, doing very well. What do you think? I responded to them that I brought up my own children to have the best of education here. I will not be the one to pontificate on that or to prevent the children of other people from coming. When Nigeria is ready, Nigeria will do the right thing, and we will probably stop what you call brain drain. We mustn't conflict the Japa phenomena with the earlier issues that we're discussing, which is brain drain. They are two different phenomena. In the brain drain thing, which is still happening, you are taking the best and the brightest from here, from Africa, bringing them to America. America has a way of opening the door for those that they consider to be very qualified. When they see talents, they grab talents. Even when they make laws, immigration laws that say, we don't want foreigners to come, they will put a clause in there that says, when we get the best, we should make it possible for them to come. I have written lots of letters for people who want to come to, be themselves in America. And, these things have worked. So it's not something we can stop like that. We have to make sure that we provide the enabling environments at home that will not make going abroad attractive. Who wants to be in a place where snow every now and then, and you're in the cold weather in there? You think I liked it? If I have the choice, I'll be here. I come to Nigeria 2-3 times a year. This is where my people are. I must say to you that I missed Ife. I was in Ife in the 70s. I joined Ife in 75. Ife sent me abroad to study at Boston University, and I came back, and I helped in developing the religious studies program at home. And I became part of the Ife community. And of course, my own research in Ile-Ife too. I miss that. I miss even teaching Nigerians in Nigeria. But the time I decided to leave in 1990, I was just fed up with the problem. I couldn't even buy tires for my car. These are really bad. Don't forget the Babangida policy that, with a World Bank that sort of reduced almost all the middle class into, citizens who just do not even matter in the economy itself. This led people to go. And if you study that, I'm not sure we have studied this phenomenon, you will discover that universities that have some of the best professors and lecturers and so were really affected by this. Ife is a leading one. So that is why today, when there's a news item about a medical doctor who is performing miracles in America, is a Nigerian, I will look at the profile. And generally, by the time I read the profile, I found out that the doctor was trained at Ife.
Okay, Prof. Well, you left in the 90s, but you've done well. From the University of California at Davis, you went on to Harvard. You've been dean, you've been this and that. Only this year, you were made a fellow of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Harvard University has just made you, chairman again of the Department of African and African American Studies and all that. But you keep reconnecting with home.
Yes.
You are in Nigeria now to pursue the annual program of the Ife Institute of Advanced Studies, which you created 7 years ago, I think.
Yes. In
memory of your dad, who was an archdeacon, and your mom. So what is the motivation for this reconnecting with Nigeria? Some people, they just, they jackpot, as they say, and they don't want to come back. What's the motivation?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, let me correct one of the statements you made. I've never been a dean. I don't think I even want to be a dean.
Okay.
But I chaired.
You were chair of the department.
And I chaired the department at University of California, Davis. That's a very important point. As I look at my life and the initiative that went to that, it got to a point when I felt so disappointed at what we were seeing at home. And then when you're invited to chair a scholarship committee or a fellows committee, and you find applications coming from Nigeria and also from Africa, and you discover that your people are no longer competitive. You're the chair of this, maybe you have the opportunity to bring 20 people, and everything there is objective. Your colleagues will read the files and rate it, and if there's no Nigerian there, there's nothing you can do because we have a standard. That was when I started thinking about the need for us to do something about this crisis. It's a crisis in education that we just had to address. So I came now to the fact that we must put in place a kind of an intervention that may not be governmental, maybe non-governmental, so with all the bottlenecks that we often come across, and that it will be important for me to connect with fellow Africans, Nigerians in the diaspora, and encourage them to buy into this project. It's going to be a communal one, it's going to be jointly sponsored. Then I also came back home and talked to our colleagues in the universities, Ibadan, Ife, Iloni, and say, look, if we start this program, it's a summer institute, whereby we devote 2 weeks of intensive training that will attract postgraduate and pre-doc candidates, we may be able to make some dent in the way they do scholarship. We will be able to teach them what they need to know as scholars so that they will become very, very competitive. And because I saw the good old days, look, I went to University of Nigeria, Nsukka, as you mentioned, as an undergraduate, 71 to 75. When I finished and came to Ife and applied for a job, I had 2 papers published in academic journals. And the panel that interviewed me said, oh, you have a master's? I said, no, sir. Before they asked the second question, I brought out my papers. I could see Professor Boyade and the rest of them looked at it, and they, dribbled me here and there. They wanted to recruit one of their own from Ife, but they found out that they just had to deal with this young man.
From Nsukka.
And then they said, can you tell us about religious studies at University of Nigeria, Nsukka? By the way, I'm glad you mentioned the old Nsukka. That was an issue there. I think one of the professors, one of the deans said, oh, at Nsukka University. I said, beg your pardon, you mean University of Nigeria, Nsukka? And they looked at me, and one of them said, it doesn't look like someone wants a job here. But they got it. It was a very fascinating conversation. And they decided that, look, they will bring me in. Again, that's another issue. That inbreeding is killing our universities. And we have to begin to look at that too. So I came in as an outsider and committed to it. And luckily, they were still sending us abroad. If I sent more students than any Nigerian university, why? They did not pay us salaries. They were giving us stipends. So why ABU and Jos and Sokoto were sending maybe 2, 3 people, if I sent about 15 to 20. And when most of us finished, we came back home. There was nothing attractive about America at that time.
Okay, Prof, let's talk about this summer program. I will put it under the rubric of giving back.
Thank you.
But, from what I've looked at, the IFE Institute of Advanced Studies program, which we established 7 years ago, it's only for pre-doctoral and postdoctoral
yes.
persons, and it's about research and all of that. How many Nigerians can benefit from pre-doctoral and postdoctoral at a time in Nigeria when people are looking for money to buy fuel? So what has your experience been in the last 7 years in terms of response, in terms of participation, in terms of sponsorship?
Yeah, thank you very much. Education is very critical.
Some people don't think so.
Education is very critical. It's at the root of the crisis in this country. I've sent a confidential letter to President Tinubu to look at, and begged him and urged him to make sure that whoever is going to be appointed to be the Minister for Education is sound, is solid, and he understands or she understands what is happening in our country there. It is the root of our crisis, whether we're talking about literacy or we're talking about economic issues and so on and so forth. So what we now do is that we have to learn how to teach the teachers, how to train or retrain the trainers. We are not intervening with the structures. AUC is the body to regulate university education. But we want to make sure that we are able to empower those who are willing to learn. We are able to create a network where they will be able to connect with the international communities. The kinds of things that people like us enjoyed in our own days. I came back in 1983 as a lecturer from, That day I traveled abroad 3 times. There were invitations for conferences. They wanted to hear me talk. They wanted me to discuss my research, which I was doing on Ondo Society at that time. Those days are gone, so we want to bring it back. But how many people can we take to Harvard? How many postdocs can we take to Princeton Institute for Advanced Studies? Very few. It's almost impossible. So why don't we now come and create that enabling environment here and get our friends and colleagues to come? And we have been very successful in doing that.
What level of support are you getting, locally and internationally?
Well, the kinds of support we have so far is very small. Ford Foundation did give us some money some years ago. And now the MasterCard also gave us some money to run the programs that we run. But we have now reached a stage whereby we believe that we must have strong structures to build on, all these things we're doing, so that we will be able to have our own space. We pay a lot of money, rent. The Olupona Foundation, that you just mentioned, established in memory of my parents. We have also been very supportive of that. Friends and colleagues and members of the family have done that. More recently, quite a number of goodwill people based in Lagos, doing that. I must also mention that years ago, Governor Ambode, when he was the governor of Lagos, also gave us some support to run this program. So we need to make this leap of faith and begin now to plan big, so that we'll be able to expand the program, we'll be able to have a structure, we'll be able to do more.
Okay, Prof. Education financing is a big problem in Nigeria. Now, you just talked about people supporting and all that. What do you say about the financing model for education in Nigeria? President Tinubu just signed the student loans bill into law, and that has been a big issue. Organized labor is saying, this will lead to hike in tuition fees. Parents Teachers Association of Nigeria, they are saying, this will lead to a hike in tuition fees. Some other stakeholders are saying, we will go to court over this matter. What is the best practice elsewhere? And I know in the US, some people will just say, oh, we have too much money, we want to support education. They will institute a program for education. But Nigerian billionaires, they are too busy enjoying their money, except for a few like Dangote and Femi Falana. What do you recommend?
First of all, I guess you're referring to the new bill. I mean, the president plan supporting the students in the universities and maybe the tertiary institutions should be given loan to, to attend the university. I'm fully in support of that. Even in America, when I joined Harvard, 2006, I took a loan to support one of my children who read law. So that's not new. But I think what is important to recognize is that, number one, we have to know why are people revolting? Why are they getting angry that the president has put in place a kind of a loan scheme? Look, it is simple. If you open the Nigerian newspaper a day, or whatever it is, you are going to see references to billions of dollars that are stolen. It's become almost a routine. I don't know if you've been following that. Even though we're in America, we know what is going on in Nigeria. 76 million missing somewhere there. 80 million, they can't account for. And people just say this thing as if it's nothing. So where's the money coming from? It's coming from the government coffer. It's coming from the oil money. And the students and their parents are shocked that the same government is complaining that there's no money to fund education. For me, this is particularly important to understanding this matter. I don't want to be a permanent member of the devout opposition to the state. I want to make sure I understand what issues are and be able to procure solutions to the. So I'm quite convinced that if it is done well and it's fair and it's guaranteed that the students will be able to benefit from it, I think it should be done. It's not. There's no country that doesn't give loan, but we have to be very careful to make sure that it's given to those who are qualified, not those who do not need it. Number two, that we also have a way of guarantee that it's of use to the students that...
except that in Nigeria, Student Loans Board has always been an issue since 1972, Decree number 25 of 1972. And we have also seen that we're not alone. It's an issue in the UK. It's also an issue in the United States, from Obama to even to Biden.
Yeah, but my reading of, before we leave that, my reading of the current act is that it is going to be guaranteed by the university. The university will sponsor it. Then the students will have to bring two guarantors who are of, who are known in the society.
But the point there is about the conditions for those guarantors and for the conditions for the parents of the students seeking the bill. But
anyway,
I take the point about the principle, how it is useful. But Prof, I mean, your main area is in humanities, African religions and traditions. And you've written books on reverse missionary missions of Africans in the United States, Pentecostalism and all of that, re-evangelizing the West.
Yes.
With all these, our churches taking over spaces in the United States and all of that. Is that a form of reverse colonization?
Okay, let me try to explain that. There are two things I wanted to do with that, and I think I succeeded in doing that. Number one, as I teach my student, it is not just enough to tell stories, whether it's a story of a religion, and so we must also be able to theorize it. That is what the West will see in us and know that we are not inferior to them. We have to be able to create theories and ideas. The second thing is that the ideas and the theories must be very indigenous. It must be, I talked about indigenous hermeneutics.
Authenticity.
So that came from that thing. So when we, I had a Ford Foundation project, Ford Foundation in the United States, to look at African immigrants, religious communities, not just Pentecostalism, but also Islam and indigenous religion. And of course, the Pentecostal churches were the largest. And when we asked them, why are you here? What are you doing here? Then they will get and tell the story, this story you've just given us, and say that it is now our turn to return to America and Europe and evangelize the West. And then they'll give you a catalog of issues and problems that, they think we're faced with. So then we said, okay, so you're talking of a reverse of this early missionary work and so. So we coined that term in 1990 from that whole phenomena. And that has become, you see it everywhere now. I've had people do not even know the origin of it. Nigerians are very creative. I mean, when I first heard the word Japa, I said, oh my God, it took me some time to understand it. Then I thought of it and I said, well, maybe if we succeed in this new experiment of nation building, then we can also have Jakpada so that they can come back. We'll bring them back. And I hope we do that. I am very optimistic about Nigeria.
Bro, you are the son of an archdeacon from a very strong Christian background. But you are into scholarship.
Yes.
I'm surprised you are not a pastor yourself. And that you are not into this reverse missionary movement that you just talked about.
Yeah, I can answer that. That's a very good question. I'm going to give the synod lecture for the diocese, ADOTT, in America, the Anglican church in America. I've been asked by the Lord Bishop to give the synod lecture. And as I was thinking about it, I realized why God did not even want me to be a pastor. My father knew that. I used to teach them. My father and my mother, I used to call them missionaries. And they were very, very successful missionaries. Maybe I wrote a book in their honor, the story of an Anglican, an Anglican family in Nigeria.
I know.
And I realized that in the Anglican tradition, which is my tradition, there are three important segments. You have the house of bishops, you have the house of priests, and then you have the lay, the house of laity. I belong to the third one.
And then the congregation.
And then, of course, the laity, that's also considered the congregation. And lately, I have found out that we have been very silent on the third, the house of laity. So it occurred to me that maybe one of the reasons why the bishop asked us to give this lecture during the synod is indeed to give us a voice. Then as I started doing my research, I found out that Professor Akiyemi,
he comes from a family of priests.
Oh yeah. His father and my father were friends in the Ibadan diocese. Then I found out that Professor Akiyemi also gave a similar lecture in Elisha, in his own diocese. And in fact, he had an academic gown, from, is it Oxford or Cambridge? And I see that we have a voice. We have a voice in the church. We are sons and daughters of the Anglican Church. And there is no substitute for that. So I thank God that I am not an ordained priest, that God has defined my role as a lay person, and it's come with honor and prestige, and I'm grateful to the church for that.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Jacob Kende Olupona, Professor of African and American Studies and Religious Traditions at Harvard University, United States, for joining us on this Live, the Sunday Talk Show.